Okay, let's take a look at this. Let's see. That's off. That's off. That's off. That's on. And the stream is live. Okay, let's get started then. Hello, Shadowcat back with more Magic the Gathering. Yes, I finally feel like I'm back on schedule. I know what I'm doing. Because I actually know what I'm doing this time. The last few, I've just kind of been wandering aimlessly, and I wasn't sure exactly what each episode was supposed to be about. Not to say good things didn't come from it. Good things did come from it. It's just, I like to be better prepared. So, today, I actually am better prepared. Today, we're talking equipment. Last time, we went through artifacts, and we did most of them. Some of them need, like, no further talking about, and others we're going to go deeper into. I'm going to bring it all up right now. Before that, hold on, let me pop up my chat here so I can actually see it. There it is, that's better. I see that Blizz is in here. Hello, Blizz. Somebody who's not in here is JP. However, in the spirit of JP, I do remember what he keeps telling me to do. So, if you're new here, if you're just kind of showing up because it's us on your homepage, don't be afraid to go ahead and subscribe to the channel. You can hit the bell icon, that way you'll get notified. I do lots of gaming content, and I do these streams every weekend. If you know somebody else who's also into either Pathfinder or Magic the Gathering, go ahead and share this stream out with them. There's still time for them to get in here and enjoy the show with us. And if you just like what I'm doing, leave a like on the video. You can leave a comment down below. That's what the comment section's for. But if you're gonna do that, might I suggest you just join the Discord? We have a Discord. It's not a big one. It's not even a very busy one. But it is there. And if you would like to play games with us, you'll have to join the Discord, because that's what we use. So join the Discord, go to the Behind the Screen channel, let me know what game you want to play and what your availability is, and we'll make that happen. Currently, we have a Star Trek game in progress. We have a module for the Wheel of Time, for Final Fantasy, and for Warhammer 40k. And obviously, we are working on a Magic the Gathering module. So, I think I should have like some kind of splash screen or something that I can put up when I do this. I'll look into that. But if you want to play with us, join the Discord. And hopefully we'll see you there. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into what we're working on today. We're going to need our browser. And we're going to need our spreadsheet. And we'll do a quick review first. The last time we were here, we went over and kind of curated what artifacts we were actually going to use, because some of them were useful, some of them were not useful. This is the list of the stuff that's actually useful for us. And so we went through, looked at each one, what does it do? And some of them needed some work, some of them did not. In fact, most of them did not. For example, like a blood artifact. It's literally just a vial of blood. But it says right here, it's part of predefined. It says you pay 1, tap it, discard a card, sacrifice this artifact, and draw a card. Which led us into defining terms. Because with that, we had to go back and actually start working on some of these keywords. Discarding, we're going to lose a random prepared spell. Oh, that's right, I forgot we needed to add that. We are now forcing planeswalkers to prepare their spells ahead of time to make some of these keywords work. So it's fine. It's going to be essentially like picking your hand every day. You'll simply pick what spells you want to have at the ready, and then you'll be able to do that, which opens the door for things like discarding and drawing. If you have to discard, you lose a random prepared spell. We just simply assign numbers to them and roll a die. Drawing, however, is adding a prepared spell. Just like you'd be adding a card from your deck to your hand, it is going to add a random, specifically a random prepared spell. And we're going to do that by simply rolling 1dx, where x is the number of spells you know. And that should be really super simple, because if we come over here to our Planeswalkers, you know a certain number of spells per day. So let's say that you had the ability to draw, and you're level 1. You only know 2 spells. It's a 1d2. If you happen to be level 14, you know 28 spells. Well, fortunately, we're playing on Roll20, where we can use virtual dice, which means we can roll a very simple 1d28 and determine what you get. Searching is the same, except you actually get to pick it. We have Graveyard Sacrifice, Tapping. For tapping, we have 2 separate definitions. If it's a creature, it inflicts daze on that creature until their next turn. And that's really simple, because daze literally just means you can't take actions. You don't lose your armor class or anything, but you can't take any actions. For an artifact, we're just going to simply say it's unusable until the next turn. We had to do Exploring and Revealing because that is tied to some artifacts, and because of that, blood, clues, gold and treasure tokens, maps, and power stones are all done. Which is going to bring us then to equipment. Oh, also we did food. Food is really simple. It's just going to be simple healing. Don't ask how it works. Again, it's magic. It's not really that important. But okay, equipment. We're going to take a long look at this one. So, equipment is going to be... we need to look at... and this might actually not take that long. We're going to look at equipment. The hardest part is going to be... go away, go away. It's going to be navigating the browser, apparently. People are right. The fandom wiki platform is just going downhill fast. This is terrible. But anyway, it says it's an artifact subtype with the equip keyword ability, which is not an ability that we really went into, because I don't... well, was it a keyword? Was it in that list? Hold on, let me take a look. Spells, keyword abilities. I don't think equip was in here. Nope, it is. Equip is right here. It says affects target permanent. Not exactly much to say there, but essentially, we have to kind of just make a lot of, or not a lot of assumptions, a few assumptions here. If you pay the equip cost, you can summon into existence like this item. If you pay the equip cost, you can simply teleport it to whatever permanent you happen to have on the field. For example, this is a Bone Splitter Axe. I know, because I have a couple of them. It's a very simple, like, 2-1, or +1, +0 card, or maybe it's a +2, +1. It's an odd number. And you simply play it, and then give it to whatever creature you want to get better. Super simple. In our game, we would be able to conjure it, and then, by paying the equip cost, simply transport it from your hand into their hand, or mouth, or tentacle, or talons, or whatever. The question that we need to answer, though, right now is what happens when you hold it? And what does it do for you? Because this is a Bone Splitter Axe. In theory, you should be able to use it like an axe. And so we're going to be using comparisons to actual Pathfinder equipment, as well as the numbers that we have on the cards, to try and make a system that works. So I'm going to keep this page handy because we're probably going to need it. Alright, so by paying the equip cost, which can only be done at a sorcery speed, it attaches to a creature you control. If the creature leaves play, the equipment becomes unattached and remains in play. Which means, going back to those to those rules that we had. If we come back to... Let's get rid of this. Spells. Was it in here? Was it under creatures? Might have been under creatures. Yeah, here we go. Summoning duration is 1 minute per level. So that applies to creatures. It will also apply to any other items that you pick up. So, for example, if you wanted to summon that Bone Splitter Axe, you channel the mana, which is not much, and simply form it into the shape of an axe, and now you have an axe. For however long you can summon things. At level 1, I think you can summon this axe. I'm going to bring it up. Bone Splitter Axe. No card. Alright, let's just look for axe then. Should be up here. Amorphous axe, bearded axe, blood forged axe, darksteel axe. Where is this axe? Am I being gaslit here? Am I gaslighting myself? It's in equipment, added. Do they have the proper name here? I don't even know. Whatever, it doesn't matter. And JP is in the chat. Hello, JP. JP says not going to be able to stay very long, but wanted to pop in for a few. Well, even so, it's good to see you. Glad you came in. I'm still bothered that I can't find this axe. Oh well, it doesn't matter. Here's an axe though. This is the Darksteel axe. So, the Darksteel axe costs 1 to play, which is great because it's right there in line with a very low-cost axe that you could summon. And this is something that you could get at, you know, level 1. It only costs 1 to play. As far as the equip cost goes, the equip cost is 2, which means that at level 1 you would not be able to hold the mana to give it to a creature. However, I do not see a reason why you could not simply hold this thing yourself. So then, what does it do for you? Well, let's take a look. So it costs 1 to play, and it is a +2/+0. So let's try the let's try applying what we did with spells to this. If we're going to apply what we did with spells, then this axe would do 1 dice because it costs 1 mana. Then, when we look down at the bottom, it doesn't say that it deals damage specifically, but it does say that it gives a creature +2 power. +2 power would then translate to 2 damage. The problem there is that this Darksteel axe then is only dealing 1d2 damage. So, number 1, that is a really awful axe. And I say that because if we come back here to equipment and we look at weapons, we're going to start with simple weapons. Now, there are 3 categories of weapons in Pathfinder. So this is also true with Dungeons & Dragons. Number 1 is simple weapons. Simple weapons are defined as weapons that do not require a great deal of skill to use. And I'm going to explain that here. When we look at simple weapons, we have gauntlets. Well, gauntlets are just metal gloves that go over your hands. Anything you could do with your hands, you can do with gauntlets, as well as just the basic unarmed strike. As for everything else, a brass knife, brass knuckles, a dagger, a punching dagger, a spiked gauntlet, hand wraps, traveling kettle, a hook hand. Because you can't be a proper pirate if you don't have a hook hand. Kunai, which if you don't know what a kunai is essentially just a trowel. It's a Japanese trowel. However, as anybody in the military can attest to, one of the oldest weapons that we have in the military is the entrenching tool, which is just a shovel. It's a shovel with a sharp edge, but it is still a shovel. They did the same thing with kunai. A kunai is just a trowel, but they sharpened the edge of it and learned that they could stab people with it. Maces are just clubs that are a little bit fancier. Sickles are literally harvesting tools. It'll take a little bit of skill to use, but it's a tool. You're probably familiar with it. These are simple weapons, and when we look at the damage on these, the damage is not great. Ignoring this batter aspergillum thing, 1d4, 1d3, 1d4, 1d4, 1d4. The traveling kettle does 1d6 damage, which, you know, is great. However, it is a monk weapon, so you need to be a monk to get the most out of it. A lot of these things do not do a lot of damage, which is where we're going to come into the axe. So, one-handed weapons, we've got clubs, maces, morning stars, and that's about it. We don't actually have like a hatchet or something. So we can actually modify something here, because I know that there's an axe under martial weapons. PC Unicorn is in the chat. Hello, PC Unicorn. It's good to see you. JP says it is a double-sided shovel. Well, okay, yes. However, to be fair, and I'm not sure if this makes it better or worse, every entrenching tool that I have seen has been smooth and sharp on one side and then serrated on the other side. One side for, you know, just cutting, and one side for usually sawing. I'm not sure which side I don't like more. I would rather not get hit with it either way. Not to mention, if you turn it sideways, then you can just batter somebody to death with it, so hey, there you go. And that's, you know, modern entrenching tools. Again, if you go back to like World War I, which is when the entrenching tool really became standard kit, you know, trench warfare and all that, it was just a shovel. And they decided, hey, if we put an edge on it and somebody decides to rush our trench, we can beat them to death with it. And it worked really well. JP says infantry standard equip, utility, and melee. Yes. LOL also for bayoneting. I mean, number one, the bayonet gets fixed to the rifle. That's what a bayonet is. I don't think that you want to duct tape a shovel to the end of your shotgun. Then again, we are talking about the military here, and I put nothing past them. Anyway, though, I was looking for a hatchet. So I want to come down to martial weapons here. Now, the difference between simple and martial is that simple is something that just about anybody can pick up and use with very little or no practice. Martial weapons require practice. You have to know what you're doing to actually use it effectively. Like, any idiot can pick up a sword. However, an idiot with a sword is more of a danger to themselves than others. And so when we look here, here's a hand axe. This is perfect for what we want. A hand axe is essentially just a hatchet. I mean, two words, same thing. And it's going to do 1d6 damage. Okay. That's cool. If we go back to our creatures and spells, when we looked at the when we looked at our creatures here, we looked at something like the Raging Goblin, and we said, how much damage does he do? He does, because he has 11 strength, 1d1 damage. He is only a +1 creature. When we looked at the Raging Goblin versus a regular goblin, we said that he is only about 1/3 of a regular goblin. 1/4, 1/3, somewhere in that area. If we look at this axe that we did, this Darksteel axe, and we use this +2 for our damage modifier, just like we did with creatures, it would do 1. Oh, you can't really see that. It does 1 damage because, or 1 dice for the, it does 1 damage for the mana cost, and then 1d2 for the power. So this axe only does 1d2, which makes it approximately 1/3, not approximately, exactly 1/3 of a hand axe. Now, the hand axe does have a triple critical. We're not going to do that for echoes. I don't see a reason to do that for echoes. An echo can just have a regular critical. But it does seem right in line. Now, is that useful? Well, yes and no. Again, we have to remember that when we're summoning echoes here, these are a poor substitution of whatever it was originally. Planeswalkers are not going to be a quality over quantity kind of class. They're very much the opposite. Quantity over quality. And as such, if you wanted to summon a whole bunch of these axes and hand them out, that's great. You can literally arm an entire squad so long as you have the mana available and you're at a high enough level to cast them all at once. The price of that is going to be the efficiency of it. Is it a good axe? No. But is it better than nothing? That's debatable. See, at 1d2, it actually deals less damage than an unarmed strike, with the only difference being that the unarmed strike deals non-lethal damage. So you could cut somebody for 2 points of damage, or you could bloodlessly beat them into unconsciousness with your bare hands, and your bare hands might actually be better. But let's get into nuances here. Does your own fist technically do more damage? Well, kinda, at a base. We also have to remember that you will be able to add your strength to it. So if you have a 16 in strength, that's a +3. And so it's going to become a 1d2 for the axe, +3 strength. That's better. Not as good as an actual proper axe, but it is better. In addition, and I'm going to use specifically the Darksteel axe here. The Darksteel axe is indestructible. Now, indestructible is something that we touched on briefly when we went through all the keyword abilities. But if it's indestructible, that means it can't be destroyed. That means you can't destroy it with a shatter spell or with any other kind of damage or like equipment destruction spell in Magic the Gathering. It also means, and I need you to think about this one really carefully, it also means that it can't really be broken. When we went over here, we went over conditions. Let me jump back to that. Down here we have broken. Items that have taken damage in excess of half their total hit points gain the broken condition, meaning they're less efficient at their designated task. The broken condition has the following effects depending on the item. If it's a weapon, and this thing is a weapon, then any attacks made from the item suffer a -2 penalty on attack and damage rolls. Such weapons score a critical hit only on a natural 20 and only deal ×2 damage on a confirmed critical hit. But this thing is indestructible, which would make it immune to the broken condition. That also means it can't be sundered, because that's all sundering is trying to do. It's trying to inflict a broken condition on an item. So you have an axe that can't be hurt. That also means that you could use it as a tool. Do you need a lever? You have the Darksteel axe. If you can wedge that blade into somewhere and use the handle as a lever, you don't need to worry about it breaking. There are possibilities here, And this is just a very, very basic axe. Let's look into something maybe a little bit spicier. I want to look for card name, card type, card subtype. Here we go. Artifact. And I want subtype. There we go. Equipment. Let's see. Blizz says, quickly slap that on a shirt. Wait. Oh, what was I supposed to say? Oh, for the sword? Put for the sword on a shirt? I mean, we could. JP says wedge it in, or wedge it somewhere. I mean, yes, you can. You can wedge it somewhere. PC Unicorn says cooks pizza over campfire using the axe blade as a pan. Hey, this is what I'm saying. This is why we are doing this, okay? This is why. Because there is so much meta potential in Magic the Gathering that is completely wasted because it's just a card game. And JP, I already plugged it. Okay? I did it at the very beginning. But there is so much potential in Magic the Gathering for like role-playing that you can't do in the card game, but we can do here. And so, PC Unicorn, you say, you know, cooking pizza over the campfire using the blade as a pan? I don't know about using the Darksteel axe. What about the Darksteel shield? You could do a whole stir-fry in the Darksteel shield. Oh, Blizz says, any idiot can pick up a sword, but they tend to be more dangerous to themselves than others. It's a bit wordy to go on a shield, or on a shirt. It's a little wordy. But, I mean, why not? I'm going to go ahead and say 6 generic mana for this one. 4 results. Show me what you got. Alright, here's some equipment that costs 6. And PC Unicorn just says Darksteel walk. It would be. Okay, what is this thing? Tatsumasa, the Dragon's Fang. Okay, here we go. Tatsumasa, the Dragon's Fang. Now, when we look at this thing, a couple of things that I want to keep in mind. First off, and if you're more familiar with Starfinder than you're a Pathfinder, this might not seem that weird. But if we follow our normal rules, the Tatsumasa costs 6 to play. Following our standard sorcery rules, that means it's going to use 6 dice. However, it is a plus, or it gives the equipped creature +5/+5, which means that picking this thing up, it would do 6d5 damage. Again, if you play Starfinder, that might not seem that bad, because there are weapons in Starfinder on the regular that do that kind of damage. Not until you get into the higher levels, however, that's just how it works when you're dealing with like lasers and plasma and everything else. In Pathfinder, however, that is not the case. And this is not the page I want to be on. I want to be on this one. If you look, there is no weapon in here that does more than 1 dice, with a few exceptions. This Gandasa down here does 2d4 damage instead of a 1d8. But you get the idea that 6d5 for a sword? That's kind of a lot. Keeping in mind that you would also need to, or it would also last for 6 minutes, and you could conjure this sword and then just hand it off to somebody. We also have to imagine what this would do if we gave it to a creature, like, say, the Raging Goblin here. Giving the Raging Goblin +5/+5 means that it would have a 16 in strength, giving it a +3 on its melee damage, and increasing its melee attack from a 1d1 to a 1d6 +3. That is a pretty significant boost. Nothing too game-changing, unless you manage to equip an entire army of Raging Goblins with it, but still significant. But that 6d5 means that because it's got 6 dice, if you rolled ones on everything, it does a minimum of 6 damage. If you rolled 5s on everything, it would max out at 30 damage. That is enormous. That is getting up there with high-level specialist fighters. The kind of fighters that say, okay, I have a sword. It's a flaming sword. And I have the following feats and class features that allow me to add an advantage die to it, and a feat that allows me to increase the size of the dice. So instead of doing 1d8, it's doing 1d10, plus a 1d6 from the fire, plus another 1d10 because of the class feature, and so on and so forth. That's a very specific situation. There are other things, though, that do fall into that category. For example, rogues and sneak attacks. If we just take a quick look at rogue, sneak attacks are something that are very difficult to pull off, but very rewarding if you do. And all of them are multiple dice. So you as a rogue might have a dagger that you're trying to sneak attack somebody with, and it only does 1d4. But if you succeed and you're, I don't know, level 7, that's going to be another 4d6. But let's think about that. Let's compare. A 1d4 dagger plus a 4d6 on a sneak attack, that's 5 dice right there. And that's 5 dice with a total of 4 times 6 is 24, plus 4 is 28. This sword, this Tatsumasa, is doing a maximum of 30. It's kind of in line. Now, that doesn't mean it's not broken, and this could be a problem, because again, if you have a planeswalker who brings this along just so they can start passing out swords, well, is it broken? I don't know. Let's think about this in another direction, because we have to look at this from a multitude of facets. A planeswalker who wants to bring this Tatsumasa Dragonfang just so that they can arm the party. Well, you have to be level 6 to carry it. Let's take a look at our planeswalker. Level 6. At level 6, you only know 12 spells. And since we now have to prepare our spells ahead of time, that means that if you're in a party of 4 people and you want to give everybody a sword, you need to spend 4 of your 12 spells, or no, spells per day, 18. 18 is the one we wanted. So you need to spend 4 of your 18 spells per day preparing swords that only last for 6 minutes. If you might need them later on, you might need to prepare more swords. And every single one of these swords that you're preparing is not a creature that you can cast later. It is not a spell that might give you a direct damage path. This is a committed slot for a sword. Is it worth it? I would argue that it would absolutely be worth it to carry these things, because at least a couple of them, yeah, always have them as a backup plan. You're going to have a sword. You might lose your sword. Or, by the time you can cast this thing, it's better than your sword. Maybe this is going to be what you rely on, and you're carrying these sword spells for you. So we'll have to wait and see on how that plays out, but for now, I think that's the way that I want to go out with it. But what about that other number? This is a +5/+5. And so if we gave it to a creature, it would automatically be upping their constitution. And we do this for a reason. Number one, it's called toughness. And toughness would imply hit points. In fact, there is a feat in Pathfinder called toughness, and it literally does just that. It gives you additional hit points per turn, or per level rather. But we're not going to be giving extra hit points or increasing the constitution modifier of a planeswalker, so then what does this do for us? I think the most sensible thing to do would be to add this directly to the armor class. So if we were to go backwards to the Darksteel Axe, we have here a very basic spell and a very basic axe. You summon the magic, you summon the Darksteel Axe, it does 1d2 damage, and that is it. It's going to do 2 damage, and because of that +0 for the toughness, you will get no armor bonus. And we'll call it something specific. It'll be like a deflection armor bonus, a parrying armor bonus, whatever it happens to be. You'll get an armor bonus while it's being wielded. We go forward to this other one, this Tatsumasa. +5/+5 equals a 6d5 sword and a +5 to your armor class. Now, that is a lot, okay? That is like an entire suit of armor a lot. But keep in mind, this is also a legendary artifact. It's too far up, you can't see it, but you can see the gold right there, okay? This is a legendary artifact. In fact, it says it right there. This is not the kind of thing that you're going to find just anywhere. This is going to be one of those things that belongs to a very, very specific person. There's only one of them in existence, and it's one of those legendary swords that they write stories about. So it's acceptable for it to be exceptionally strong. And if we want to even take this further, and keep in mind that echoes are only about 1/3 the strength of the actual thing, if this thing is only 1/3 as strong, then the actual sword is probably doing something like, I don't know, 18d15s? I'm not positive on that. Either way, it would be just absolutely devastating. The kind of thing that you'd see in, like, anime. You know, the kind of thing where they swing the sword, they drag the tip along the ground and cause an earthquake. That kind of thing. Very cool. I like the idea. As it is, if you were able to get a hold of this thing as in just the echo, it would be incredible. But as a legendary artifact and being rare at that, essentially this is a quest item. You would need to go looking for it. If we just go back to things that are common, do we have anything that's common here? This is uncommon, this Necropouncer. It does say it's a living weapon. However, we have the stats for living weapons, and living weapons are basically their own thing. But the equipped creature gets +3/+1 and has haste. Well, that's really cool. So we've got this Necropouncer. It's uncommon, which means that you might be able to find this somewhere. It's not going to be available for you to freely pick, but you might encounter it out there in the world. +3/+1 means that this thing would do 6d3 damage and give you a +1 bonus to your armor class. So that's not bad. I mean, this thing could do a maximum of like 18 damage. So I think this is in general a good idea. You're rare, you're rare. I want to look at some of the equipment that you could get just picking. It's going to be equipment. And I'm going to want it to be not flavor text, not language, legal, yes. Where is rarity? I mean, besides Canterlot. That's a different rarity. Legalities, loyalty, toughness. No, I want just... Oh, here we go. Rarity. Common. 146 results. Perfect. Okay. PC Word says, question. For some common equipment, could you summon it long enough or repeatedly enough for a blacksmith to forge? Okay, that is a very complicated question because, and I'm going to go back to using the Tatsumasa as an example. Could it be done? The answer to that is yes, but there's a really big caveat to that. When you're talking about legendary equipment like that, it's not the kind of thing that just any blacksmith would be able to do. It's one of those things where you're talking about major side quests. Like, you're going to be on whatever campaign that we're running. But you might say, hey, I'm looking for this sword. And so maybe you see it. Maybe you actually run into whoever is holding Tatsumasa and they let you study it long enough to actually summon it. It's not as good as the original one, but it's pretty good. Then you would need to actually find a blacksmith capable of actually crafting it. And the way that would work is they would need to study it too. Now, can you summon it long enough for them to forge it? The answer to that is yes. If they have the skill to do it, they could probably do it. How would we do that mechanically? Well, it's actually really kind of simple, I think. Number one is we're going to use the standard crafting rules, which is to say, we would need to find some kind of arbitrary value for this sword. And that's going to be difficult given that it's a legendary weapon and it is quite literally priceless. So what is half of priceless? I don't know. But that's what you're going to need in materials to make the thing. And then, because you can only summon this thing for, at level 6 minutes at a time, it would probably require some kind of intelligence check on the blacksmith's part before forging could continue. But it could be done. It could be done. But here, I want to just look at some of these examples of just common equipment that you could pick just as you're leveling up. And right here, the Ancestral Katana. It's literally just a katana. It's from... what is it from? Oh, Kamigawa, Neon Dynasty. It's not a neon sword, though. But either way, it costs 1 plus white to play, so 2. Whenever a samurai or warrior you control attacks alone, you may pay 1. When you do, you can attach the katana to it. That's fun, I guess. An equipped creature gets a +2 +1. That means that if it's equipped to you, 2 mana means that it does 2 dice, +2 is 2 damage, so it's a 2d2 sword, which... I mean, to be fair, let's think about that. 2d2. We have a lot of things around here that do 1d4 damage. 2d2 is kind of in line with that. One of the things that we don't have here is going to be Eastern weapons here. So let's come over here to Eastern weapons because we do have katanas. They're a 2-handed weapon. At least I thought they were. Sword, hooked lance. Where is it? It's gotta be in here. Oh, there it is. Okay, hold on. Here we go. Katanas. That's a katana double walking stick. I just want a regular katana. There it is. Okay. Katana. A medium-sized katana does 1d8 damage. It is... Oh, they have it down here as only one-handed. I mean, technically you can use it one-handed, but it is specifically a two-handed, sword. But regardless, 1d8 damage, and our ancestral katana here... There we go. Is doing 2d2. So normally we're looking at at our echoes to be 1/3. In this case, it's literally 1/2 of it. I don't have a problem with this. I think this is fine. It's still weaker than the original katana. And it still functions. I like it. And PC Unicorn says half of priceless is literally less. That's fair. I can't argue with that one. Anyway, though, what other options do we have? That's the ancestral katana. The amorphous axe. The amorphous axe gets, or equipped creature gets +3/+0 and is every creature type. Now, as far as being every creature type, I don't see that really affecting you. Unless we want to make it so that you count as a creature. Which... I don't know. We could do that kind of thing. That could leave the door open to a lot of nasty things, though. But +3/+0, it costs 2 to play, so it does 2d3, and you get no armor bonus from it. Again, you can get this at level 2. It's essentially just doing 1d6 damage. This is very balanced. If we come down to the... Well, no, I guess it's not ordered by... Or right, yeah, right now it's ordered by card name. If we order by mana cost. Okay, so like here is this a quarter shield. This costs 0. Which is great because that means it's free. You can just conjure it up out of a scrap of mana. That's great. Equipped creature gets +0/+3 and has vigilance. Well, vigilance doesn't really apply to you as a planeswalker, but a +3 armor class? That's a decent shield. That's a really decent shield. What would the equivalent of that be? Let's look at armor. And specifically, I want to look at shields. Heavy armors, shields. +1/+1/+1/1, 2, 2, 4. There is only one shield that gives something higher than a +2, and that is a tower shield. That is significant, because tower shields are literally the exception. Many classes get proficiency in shields. None of them, except for, I believe, the fighter, gets proficiency with tower shields by default. So it is somewhere between the tower shield and just a heavy shield. That is not bad. Okay, what else we got though? Now that we have sorted by mana cost, I want to jump down to the bottom because I want to jump all the way to the end. So these are both common. What is this? This is a Marin Bardiche. This one costs 5 to play, but it's still common, which means that this is available for you to pick on level up. It has for Mirrodin, and that's cool. When this equipment enters, create a 2/2 red rebel creature token, then attach this to it. Is that one of those things though that we skipped? Spells. For Mirrodin was one of the last ones on the list. For Mirrodin, nope, we didn't skip it. When this equipment, create a 2/2 red rebel creature, then attach this to it. Okay, so you get a free creature with it. So when you summon this, you don't even get it. But if you were to take it back, okay, or the creature that you gave it to died, you could pick it up and it would become a 5d2, which is interesting because that's just a 1d10 different form. It's actually better than a 1d10 because you can't roll less than 5. It's a 1d or a 5d2 weapon. A bardiche is kind of like an axe, sorta, a little bit. And it gives you a +1 bonus to your armor class. I think this works, and I like this. Now, there are other equipments. Hey, there it is. That's why I couldn't find it before. I said the Bone Splitter axe. It's just the Bone Splitter. I was having flashbacks. It's like the Mandela effect. It's like, I know I have this card. But yeah, here we go. Here's the Bone Splitter. You can't see the top half of it. I'm sorry, it's a little cut off. I don't know. I don't really have a way to fix that. But it costs 1 to play. Equipped creature gets +2/+0. So it just does 1d2 damage. Whatever. Now, why you would take that instead of like the Darksteel axe, I don't know. And the Darksteel axe is literally right there below it. So there's the Bone Splitter, there's the Darksteel axe. They both cost 1 to play. They both give a +2/+0, but the Darksteel axe is indestructible. The Bone Splitter is not. However, the Bone Splitter also only costs 1 to equip. The Darksteel axe costs 2. So at level 1, you cannot give this to a creature. At level 1, you can give this one to a creature. It's up to you. I think this is going to work out really well. And not every equipment is going to be a weapon, though. And that's what we got to look at next, I think. Like here, this Explorer's Scope. Costs 1 to play. It says, whenever equipped creature attacks, look at the top card of your library. If it's a land card, you may put it onto the battlefield tapped. Well, that's not really going to work for us. So this is going to be kind of a useless equipment. Because you don't have land cards in your deck. What else do we have here? Cloak of the Bat. Apparently it does not make you Batman. I'm a little disappointed. But it costs 2 to play. Equipped creature has flying and haste. Well, I mean, that's cool. I don't necessarily know what flight is going to mean for a planeswalker, but if you were to conjure this cloak and throw it around yourself, giving yourself flying, very powerful. I mean, flight is already a very, very powerful spell. And Sorcerer Wizard list. Fly. Where is it? Because there is literally a spell called Fly. Here we go. Fly is a level 3 spell. And so this sorcerer that we were looking at before would not get it until level 6. You could get it at level 2. That is a very, very powerful bonus. Because, like, flight is amazing. And since the equipment will last for 2 minutes, because you have to be level 2 to cast it, 2 minutes of flight, it's not bad. How long does flight last here? It's 1 standard action. It lasts for 1 minute per level. Okay, so, same rules. The only difference is that by the time the sorcerer gets it, they'll be level 5, so it'll be 5 minutes of flight. You're only going to get 2 minutes of flight. Now, if you carried multiples of them, then perhaps you could just recast it and continue to fly. Still, though, 2 minutes of flight is generally enough to get up on the roof of pretty much anywhere that you need to. We'll have to work on exactly how we're going to do the maneuverability and everything. But we can work on that. And the reason, or the way we might do that, is to simply use the only number that we have, being the mana cost in the card. With creatures, we were able to add up both their power and toughness to give them a size, which gave them a fly maneuverability. We can use the cost of the card, I think, and perhaps that'll work. Oh, and also, we already got it set so that the converted mana cost times 10 is the speed. So, this cloak will allow you to fly, but only at 20 feet per round, which means that technically you could fly, like just over the ground, and people would be able to walk faster than you. It's not the worst thing in the world, but it's not the best thing in the world either. Which actually makes it worse than the one that I was looking for, because I was looking for the Nura cover sale. I believe that's common as well. I think it is. Jousting. No, maybe not. Because there's a Nurok stealth suit. I don't see the hover sail over here. It must be an uncommon card. That also gives the equipped creature flight, but it only costs 1. So you would get flight at 10 feet per turn. Woo! What do we have here? The Sparring Collar. Cost 2 to play. Equipped creature has first strike. But that's literally it. It just gives first strike. Now, how first strike would work for a Planeswalker, I don't know. Because first strike is not something that we've really addressed, I don't think. Did we? I don't think that we did, because there's really no need for first strike. Right up here we did it. It was one of the first ones that we did. It says, when this creature is attacked, make an attack against their attacker before their attack resolve. Basically, it's a counterattack. Okay, so if you're wearing the collar, it'll basically give you a counterattack when you are attacked. A free attack of opportunity, but only triggering on an enemy attack. You could not use that if they just ran past you. But of course, then you would get a regular attack of opportunity anyway. So yeah, I like this, and I think this is a good place to be. Artifacts. So, equipment. So, if the equipment gives X plus Y, so if the equipment gives X, Y to creature, it becomes the appropriate equipment. And I'm gonna phrase it that way, the appropriate equipment, because this is gonna allow us to use, you know, higher faculties. It doesn't necessarily have to be that we're defining every card as it is, but if the card says it's an axe, it must resemble an axe. You cannot summon a shield using the axe card. Which means, you know, if you're using a shield, technically, yeah, you can like shield bash, I guess. But if the shield bash is, if the card or the shield gives +0/+3, like the one shield that we were just looking at, your shield bash would do 1d0. Technically possible, utterly pointless. So it becomes the appropriate equipment. Actually, I'm going to rewrite this. I'm going to write this. Summon the appropriate equipment. If it's a weapon, it deals damage equal to mana cost. The power. And let's see. Gives a deflection bonus equal to the toughness. Now, here's something I need to keep in mind. That works for a weapon or a shield. What about armor? Somewhere in here, I should be able to find some kind of suit or suit of armor. The circlet? The echo circlet. Creature can block an additional creature. No, that's not what I'm looking for. The executioner hood? Maybe. Let's see. Equipped creature has intimidate. Not what I'm looking for, though. The horned helm. Perfect. That's exactly what I'm looking for. Here's the problem with this. The horned helm. It is, quite obviously, a helmet. I don't think that I'm saying anything here revolutionary. Equipped creature gets +1/+1, though, and has trample. That +1/+1 is a bit of a problem, though, because it costs 2 to play, which means that technically it does 1d2 damage. Now, in this case, it is literally a helmet with horns. So, I guess you can headbutt somebody with it? I guess we're going to have to house rule it that anything that you summon, you're automatically proficient with. Because otherwise, that would absolutely qualify as an exotic weapon. But what if it's not? I'm still going back to looking for a simple suit of armor. Like right here, adventuring gear. What is this? This is from the Jumpstart 2022. Landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, equipped creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Okay, well, technically speaking, we could do that. But here's the big problem with this. It's adventuring gear, okay? So it's literally just gear. There's nothing weapon about this. There's nothing protective about this. It's just adventuring gear. According to our rules, this is equipment. It's on you, and it deals 1d2 damage. Why? Now, this could be one of those cases where we simply have to make a house rule and rule on this and say, this one doesn't actually do damage. Which at that point, then you have to ask yourself, why would you take it anyway? And that is a valid point. Now, it doesn't necessarily do you any good, but it would still benefit any creatures that you're summoning. Now, landfall, since we've already established that if you played a land or like created land using a spell like, say, rampant growth, that it would be adding a ley line stream to the area, that could trigger landfall. That would be exceptionally rare, I think, but it could happen. A lot of this, I think, is going to come down to interpretation. Just looking at the card, determining what it is. So yeah, the weapon is fine. And shields will fall under the category of weapons for our intents and purposes. But Maybe we don't need to treat it that way. Maybe not. Let's think about this for a second here. The adventuring gear. And, I mean, there are other things as well. The adventuring gear... Boots of Speed. Here we go. Here's Boots of Speed. Equipped creature gets +1/+0 and has haste. How does that work? I have to assume that however or whatever it is that you summon, you're using it to your advantage somehow. Boots of Speed. Maybe you're kicking somebody. I guess. It does 1d1 damage if you kick them. With the adventuring gear, well, it is adventuring gear. Presumably it has many things tucked away inside of it. You draw a random weapon or tool and use it to the best advantage that you can. It's adventuring gear, it's nothing special, and so dealing 1d2 damage is nothing. But it also gives you +2 armor class. I think if we reinterpret it that way, I think it works. I think that actually is going to work really well. Golem Skin Gauntlets. Let's see. Equipped creature gets +1/+0 for each equipment attached to it. So if you can hold multiple things at once, then great. However, and that's actually a really interesting thing to bring up, is that we're going to have to be a little bit more realistic. In Magic the Gathering, the card game, you can equip any number of equipment to any creature you want. I know because I've done this before. So I can take a Raging Goblin and I can give it 3 swords, an axe, a suit of armor, 2 suits of armor actually, plus a stone that does something. I can load up a creature with that. In Pathfinder, you only have 2 hands. And so if we just assume that no matter what these are, they're going to be essentially one-handed, even then, you can only have 2 of them at one time, in general. And I do think that's being exceptionally generous when you have things like the Core Halberd down here. It costs 1 to play, equipped creature gets +1/+1, which means that it only does 1d1 damage. I mean, it's not huge, but still damage. And it's a halberd, and I'm allowing you to use it one-handed. There is an alternative, though. See, one of the nice things that we're going to be doing is that we're going to have cheat sheets. Kind of like what we have here for the creatures. We're going to have cheat sheets. So every creature that you want to summon, you will have a sheet that looks like this. That way, when it's summoned, we do not question anything. You will simply have a sheet to reference, and you can play that creature accordingly. We will have similar sheets for things like this. So, like when we come here to the weapons, we can see here that we have a grid, and this grid has everything that we need on it. So, name. Obviously, the name for, say, this thing is going to be the Core Halberd. Which, you know, very shiny. Love it. After that, the cost. Well, there is no cost, unless you want to talk about the mana cost for it. Which, hey, we can put that on there. The Core Halberd costs 1 white. And that is literally just 1 white, not 1 and white. So there's your cost. We're not going to have a damage differentiation between small and medium, so it's just going to do 1d1 damage, a ×2 critical, a range. Well, now here's where this gets a little bit interesting because it is a halberd. It says so in the name. we have halberds. And the halberd here has a range of nothing. It's a melee weapon. It reaches 5 feet. The weight of it, well, it's an echo. So while it will have weight, if most echoes are going to be between 1/2 and 1/4, we'll just call it 1/3 and say that it weighs 4 pounds. Super simple. Being a halberd, puncture or slash, sure. And then it's not going to have any special properties, but there you go. If it did, that's where it would, or where that would go. And does it? Actually, yes, it does. It has vigilance. So we would put that under the properties. And you will be able to write down a line just like this. Core's halberd, costs white, 1d1, times 2, melee range, 4 pounds, puncture or slash, vigilance. Done! Super simple, and every single time you conjure it, you'll just be able to reference that on your sheet. It sounds complicated when you first look at it, but it's actually going to be incredibly simple. And for every single weapon you have, you will just add another line. And you will have a collection, an arsenal of equipment that you'll be able to summon. This is where it's going to be, or where you as a planeswalker will become very, very powerful. It's because you will be able to summon an entire arsenal. At the beginning of the day, when you're picking your spells, you'll simply say, well, just in case we get in trouble, I want to make sure that I have my halberd. I'll make sure I have a shield available just in case. And if you do end up in trouble, you spend 1 mana to summon the halberd, you spend another 1 mana to summon the shield, and congratulations, you're now a hoplite. So this is going to work well, I think. So it's summon the appropriate equipment. We'll use the name for that. I'm going to rewrite this, not if it's a weapon, but simply it deals damage equal to mana cost d power and gives a plus toughness to and gives plus toughness as deflection bonus to AC. Now, the question is, does it confer the other bonuses? And PC Unicorn says, Boots of Speed. If you lick them, it has the same effect as Adderall. I'm not going to question how you know that. I'm not going to question it. Okay, with the core halberd, it does say that the equipped creature gets vigilance. Did we do vigilance? Coming back to spells. I'm sure we must have. Vigilance? No, we did not. Does that mean that this is one of these keyword actions down here? I don't see it. Nope, it's not in there. Okay, then we must have skipped that somehow. So vigilance is actually very simple. Attacking does not cause a creature to tap. What is that going to mean for us? And also, why did I never do it? I did equip. What makes vigilance different from that? Hold on just a second here. I'm going to open up a new browser tab here because I want to find out where Vigilance sits. Okay. It says Vigilance here is a keyword ability. These are keyword actions. If we look at keyword abilities, what's included in here? Because I thought we did a lot of these. No, we did do these. Is Vigilance not in here? No, it's right there. It's under Trample. Oh, I deleted that one. I must have decided that it wasn't useful to us. Well, we can always rethink that. So, Vigilance is a keyword ability that allows a creature to attack without tapping. Now, creatures are not going to necessarily tap. They get their turn and that's it. So, I'm not sure how we're going to make this work. PC Unicorn said, Boots of Speed. Yes, I read that one already. Adderall is literally just prescribed speed. And, I don't think it is. Ritalin was essentially just prescribed speed. Adderall was supposed to be better than Ritalin, though. Peacekin also says, was on it for many years. Wish I was still on it. Miss being able to focus. Oh, look, a duck. Yeah, I understand that. I am an ADHD brain myself, except I do not medicate. I never did, which makes life very difficult sometimes, but I struggle through it. And Turtle Qwerty, I've never seen you before. Hello, good to see you in the chat. Hope you're enjoying yourself here. Turtle Qwerty says, what do you think of the current meta state of Yu-Gi-Oh? I have absolutely no idea because I don't play Yu-Gi-Oh! We're doing Magic the Gathering here. I literally could not comment. I don't know anything about it. I mean, I can barely keep up with what's going on in Magic the Gathering, much less keep up with all the other card games out there. That being said, I mean, could I do a Yu-Gi-Oh! Module in the future? I probably could. I could probably use a lot of what we've learned here to do the same thing, but it would have to be its own module. There's no way that I could use this for both of them. This is far too specific. So I can't help you there. But okay, back to Vigilance. It causes creatures to attack without tapping. We don't have tapping, do we? If we come back to our keyword list here... No, we do have tapping. Tapping inflicts daze on a creature. And I want to close this here. I don't want this here. It inflicts daze on a creature, but that's if you, like, tap a creature for mana. We put that in there specifically because... if you had something like an elf that you can tap for forest mana, or a mirror that you can tap for any mana, because there's one mirror for each color, that would nullify their turn when it got to them. So, yeah, I'm not sure how we really implant this. One thing that I can think of, there is one thing that I can think of, and it's a feat. Let me go ahead and try to find the feat here real quick. Let's see. Turtle Qwerty says Yu-Gi-Oh! Is so complicated. It's probably one of the most unique card games. I'm familiar with it, I just don't know anything about it. I mean, I know of the card game, and I know of the TV show, at least the first one, and I didn't even watch all of that one. PC Unicorn says, turn 1 victories are common and competitive for Yu-Gi-Oh! Just flip a coin, say good game, move on. Now that just seems broken. Let's see. What is the feat that I'm looking for? Improved lightning reflexes. I don't think that's it. Could be, though. Reflexive trick. Combat reflexes, I think, is the one that I want. Yes, here we go. So, combat reflexes. You may make a number of additional attacks of opportunity per round equal to your dexterity bonus. With this feat, you may also make attacks of opportunity while flat-footed. So, normally, if you're in combat and somebody says, I'm just going to run through here, well, because they're leaving themselves exposed, you get to make an attack of opportunity against them. Whether you hit or not, doesn't matter. Also, if you're flat-footed, you're caught by surprise, you can't make one. Combat reflexes changes that. If you have a really good dexterity, you know, like you're a rogue and you have an 18 in your dexterity, that could be a number of attacks of opportunity equal to 4. Now, it does not allow you to make them, it does not allow you to make multiple attacks of opportunity against a single target. I should point that out. You can only get one per target, but if everybody decides to run past you at once, you know, like wildebeest trying to run over a little lion cub, yeah, you get one attack of opportunity for each target until you run out of attacks of opportunity for that round. We could simply say that vigilance would give combat reflexes to either the planeswalker or the creature that was summoned. It's simple, it uses rules that are already integrated into the game, and it solves a lot of our problems. So I'm going to come back here to the spells, and we're going to put this right back in place. Vigilance? I don't remember. Grant the combat feat, combat reflexes. There we go. Super simple. I like it. Okay. And so that covers the core halberd. Obviously, we're not going to spend too much more time on things like that. The idea here is that we want to be able to simply convert any of these. And we've got a lot of the things back there. The bespoke battle garb. The equipped creature gets +2/+0. So I don't exactly know how you're attacking with it, but technically it's an equipment and it is allowing you to do damage. Maybe you're belly flopping on people. I don't know. It has celebration though at the beginning of your upkeep on beginning of combat on your turn. If 2 or more non-land permanents entered the battlefield under your control this turn, attach the bespoke battle garb to up to 1 target creature you control. So, if you were to summon this thing, and now here's something weird. Here's something weird we got to think about. Everything else we've talked about has been like a weapon, that if you summon it, you could be either holding it or you could pick it up off the ground. If you wanted to equip this, would you have to don it like armor? That's something worth putting into, or worth thinking about. Would you need to don this thing like armor? And what kind of armor would it be? Let's back up a little bit here. So, here we go. Getting into and out of armor. Putting on or taking off armor is sometimes a complicated procedure. The time required to don armor depends on its type. So we'll have to determine what the type is as well. Donning the armor. This column tells you how long it takes a character to put the armor on. 1 minute is 10 rounds. Readying, strapping on a shield, is only a move action. If you want to don it hastily, The armor check penalty and the armor bonus are each 1 point worse than normal, which is awful. And then removing it. So, shield. Any kind of shield. Doesn't matter. Could be a buckler, could be a tower shield. It's a move action to put it on. That's it. And it's also a move action to drop it, which is literally just unstrap it, drop it to the ground. Now, padded leather, hide, studded leather, chain shirt, these are all light armors. They take 1 minute to get in and out of. You could do it in 5 rounds, donning it hastily, but you would also lose armor class for it. And for some of them, it might only be a +1 armor, so you're losing your armor bonus entirely. Just don't even bother. Breastplate, scalemate, chainmail, banded mail, split mail. These are all heavy armors. Or, well, some of them are heavy plates, some of them are medium, like split mail I believe is medium armor, but that's still 4 minutes and then 1 minute if you wanted to do it hastily. Half plate or full plate takes 4 minutes regardless, so just do it right. Alright, so there's that. PC Unicorn says, no, and there's a precedent. Teferi in one of the Phyrexian animations summons armor around himself directly to defend a strike. And that's fair. That is fair. And it's something that I had already kind of thought of, I just hadn't gotten there yet. Because we could have it to where you can simply cast the armor and then you have to get into it. Okay? That's what we're talking about right now. But if we're talking about having it appear directly on you, well, now we're getting into something different. That's the equip cost. See, if we use the equip cost to completely sidestep that, okay? If we use the equip cost to completely sidestep donning the armor, we can literally say, okay, the bespoke battle garb, it costs 1 plus red to play. Okay, that's fine. You summon it. You now have a suit of armor laying on the ground. On your next turn, because we're assuming you're level 2 here. On your next turn, you grab 2 mana of any color, it doesn't matter what it is, and you essentially just teleport that armor onto your body. And by the way, we actually have precedent for that. We do. We have precedent for that. I need to do a search here. Armor. Punishing armor. Guardian armor. Okay, here we go. Actually, Guardian armor is really good. Guardian armor is a level 1 spell. A wizard can get this at level 1. You can have this as soon as you start play. It teleports the suit of armor that you are wearing off of your body and onto an ally within range. They must be the same size and general shape as you. It appears on the target's body fully formed and properly donned, granting the creature the immediate benefit of its full protection. If the target of Guardian armor was already wearing armor, the armor is removed from the target's body and falls undamaged into an adjacent square. And PC Unicorn says, Iron Man style, funk, 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 funk. Yeah, I mean, essentially, if you saw Iron Man 3, the suit of armor that he was working on that would just come out in pieces and attach to him, kinda. So there's that. Punching armor, guardian armor, mage armor, that's magic armor. Bed of iron lets you sleep in armor. Reinforced armaments, no. Blood armor, no. Scale spikes, silver darts. Heat stroke, shining scales, armor lock. Hero defenses, resize. Okay, so there may not be a spell in here to just like automatically gird somebody. Although I thought there was. Yeah, swift girding. With a sweep of your hand, you can select a number of targets and the same number of suits of armor. It is one willing creature per level. Now, if you want to talk about the Iron Man thing, here's where you're going to get to Iron Man. The targets of the spell are immediately clad in the armor that you choose. The subject of the spell must be capable of wearing the chosen armor. They cannot be wearing any other armor, and they must be able to properly fit into it. The chosen armor must be empty and cannot be currently worn by another creature, so you can't just move it from one person to another. But if it's just laying there on the ground, with this spell, you could walk into like an armory. Like, let's say you're sneaking into the castle, okay? You're sneaking into the castle, and you're in the armory, and you're like, wait, guys, I got a great idea. What if we stole some suits of armor and then sneak in disguise? With this spell, you could just wave your hands, and these suits of armor would fly off of the armor stands and onto your party. That is essentially what we're doing here, and again, this is a level 1 spell. These wizards will get it at level 1. Equip is not that simple, because equip is going to have different costs, but most equipment costs are going to be between 1 and 5. There are not a whole lot of spells that cost 5 or more. Most of them are going to cost about 2 or 3, maybe 4. I think this works. The problem then comes in that we would also have to apply this to everything that uses an equip function. So, when we come back to all of these weapons, I'll just pick this blight sickle right here. Equipped creature gets +1/+0 and has wither. And equip costs 2. So, with this, we could say that, obviously it costs 2 to play. It does has 1 power, so it's 2d1. It just does 2 damage. 2 flat damage. It gives you no armor bonus for it, but it would require you to spend 2 mana to cast it into your hand. Downside, you can't just pick it up. I mean, I think. And maybe we can make this work for us. Because what if we say that you can don that armor the normal way? You can just pick it up off the ground and don it. It makes sense. If the armor is just sitting there and you had the time, you could put it on. Now, depending on the armor and how long that took, I don't know how long that would take, and I don't know how long the spell would last. Like the other armor, that parade armor, only costs 2, which means it only lasts for 2 minutes. If it takes you more than 2 minutes to put it on, it's not going to be great. You could do it, though. And if you can don that normally, then you should be able to pick up something like this blight sickle normally. Both of them just appear on the ground, and there it is. So then what do we need the equip for? If the equip is then to put it on yourself, then we could perhaps attach it to something else. For example, with equip, because, we're going to have to get so nuanced here. We're going to have to get really, really nuanced here. Okay. Vigilance is a keyword ability. We're going to come back here to these keyword abilities. Equip. Okay, it says here, equip is a keyword ability found on artifacts with the subtype of equipment. By paying the equip cost, you can attach the target artifact to a creature you control, which is referred to in the text as the equipped creature. Now, we had to make a differentiation. Actually, PC Unicorn, I'm going to need your help here, I think. Because in Magic the Gathering, in normal tabletop play, there are cards on the table that are not creatures. And those are planeswalkers. I think the question that we need to ask here is, if you had a planeswalker on the table, can you equip equipment to that planeswalker? Because if we can attach it to a planeswalker, then we can attach it to ourselves or anyone else. That's the question that we have to ask right now. And it even says right here, equip quality or equip planeswalker. And I don't know why they've separated that. But right here, it says equip planeswalker cost, attaches permanent to target planeswalker you control, as though that planeswalker were a creature. Activate this only as a sorcery. Because right now, I have to imagine you can't. Which kind of makes sense. Planeswalkers, in terms of like the card, don't have a power and toughness, and so there's nothing for them to really benefit from. Not to mention, they don't attack directly, they cast spells and abilities. If we can't attach these to planeswalkers, we can't attach them to ourselves. And that will suck, because that'll mean that like everything that we just did doesn't mean anything. And PC Unicorn, my expert in the chat, says no, not normally. There are specific equipments that do say equip planeswalker. Damn it. Okay. Well, that sucks then. If we can't put it on a planeswalker, then we can't equip it to people. Which means that I just spent like an hour and a half doing nothing. That's time wasted. PC Unicorn also says there's also Gideon that can be equipped as a creature, but only when he becomes a creature. Okay. So, in that case... Oh, I don't like that, though. However, that is the rules. I can bend rules, but I can't just outright break the rules. And there's no way that I can bend this one enough to make it work. If planeswalkers can't equip equipment, then neither can we. Which means we don't have to worry about how long it takes to don armor or how much damage these things do, because we're literally just going to be giving these bonuses to the creatures, and we already have the rules for that done. Okay, but now I'm kind of curious. Advanced search. Rules text. Equip planeswalker. 11 results. 0 results. Rules text. Wait, that still says nothing. How can that not, or how can that be nothing? It's literally equip. Equip is a rule. I know it's a rule. I've been working on this all day. Oh, wait, Signet is still in here. There we go. Let's get rid of that. Okay, 577 results. That's a lot better. Equip Planeswalker. 1. Just 1 result. Can you show me? Okay, here we go. Luxior, Gyada's Gift. So, here we go. It is a legendary artifact and equipment. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each counter on it. That's awful. Equipped permanent isn't a planeswalker and is a creature in addition to its other types. Loyalty abilities can still be activated, though. And you can equip it to a planeswalker. Okay, so it allows you to basically act like a creature. This is not nearly as helpful for us, especially since it's mythic rare, which means that it will never show up in the game. And PC Lord says, I don't remember what it is, but there's an equipment that turns a planeswalker into a creature. We found it. Okay, so yeah, this is all... Oh, this is all an enormous waste of time. Okay, well, there's nothing to be done. Equipment is just... The equipment is done. There's literally nothing for us to rewrite or interpret here. We just have to follow the rules as written because, much like most of the spells, we can't just cast Lightning Bolt on the local neighborhood orphans. We also can't equip them. So we can't have an orphan army. That's disappointing. Makes me wonder about some of the rest of these too. PC Owner says, I really think your system is fine. You have to bend things for a tabletop. I do, okay, and I have been bending. But here's the problem with bending too much. If we make things too nuanced, we overcomplicate them. Already it was becoming a little overcomplicated trying to figure out how exactly does a suit of armor deal damage. And so that was stretching. This was getting to the point where it was just unmanageable because it's just not going to work. Nope, we have to stick with the rules. It says target creature, which means it has to target only creatures. I don't like it, but what else am I supposed to do with it? Which means that we need to establish rules for like what happens if you do pick these things up. If you as a planeswalker were to summon this stuff. But now here's something interesting. Here's an argument. Here's an argument to the counter. You said in the chat that you said it was where is it? Teferi. In one of the Phyrexian animations, at least summons armor around him directly to defend against a strike. I wonder how canon that animation is. Because it does make sense. I mean, it makes sense that a planeswalker should be able to do that. I'm sorry. I know I'm leaving dead air here, but I gotta think. I gotta use the thinky part of the brain, and the thinky part of the brain's having a really hard time right now. PC Unicorn says, yes, it is an official Magic the Gathering animation. That is useful. Alright, let me bring this back here then. Okay, so... we're going to have to bend something here for this. If we're going to go ahead and assume that... Equipment is different. Spells still have to target creatures. But equipment has to be a little bit different. I think that our answer here might be this. I think that Teferi might be a little bit special. And that summoning the armor and equipping it directly to them might just be something that Teferi's good at. And we might have to leave it there. After all, Teferi is a legendary planeswalker. You will be a somewhat less legendary planeswalker. Sorry. Meaning that you could summon the armor, but maybe you can't use the equip to put it on yourself. You could do it to put it onto your creatures, and it would literally just jump, as in, with swift girding, to them. I would say that, interestingly, maybe we could even work out a synergy here where if there was a wizard in the party and they knew the spell Swift Girding, they could put it onto somebody else too. But if the equip spell, or the equip action specifically says it targets a creature, I don't think we can undo that. But it doesn't necessarily have to be unusable by other people. It does mean that armor cards will be of less use to the actual planeswalker themselves. You could conjure a sword and hand it off. You could conjure a shield and hand it off. You could conjure a piece of armor, but then it would have to be equipped. Now, one of the interesting things here is that when we look at the armor value, these things are not going to have an armor check value. Where was that? Here it is. The bespoke battle garb. And this thing doesn't even give a value at all. So this is not giving you any kind of armor class to begin with. And hold on a second. Oh, no, I thought I had something else going on. Guess not. That's okay, though. Alright, so yeah, with the battle garb, that's not going to do us any good. Is there any other armor in here that does give us a bonus? The Amorphous Axe, Ancestral Katana. Viridian Longbow. I love the Viridian Longbow. It's really good. But I'm looking for armor. Here we go. Leather armor. Perfect. The equipped creature gets a +0/+1. Now, let's say that... How would we go through and organize the armor? Let's think about that for a moment. And I know I'm running out of time here, but let's think about this for a moment. How would we organize it into categories of light, medium, and heavy? I know what I want to look for. Search for armor. Okay. Now, I want to sort this by mana cost. And I'm going to go right for the most expensive one, which apparently is going to be Urza's armor, which apparently is not even armor. Okay. How about this one? This is an armor equipment. Argentium armor. The equipped creature gets +6/+6. Alright, that's pretty significant. Are there better armors out there, though? And even this one is rare. Can we get armor that gives +7/+7 or something like that? I don't think so. This one gives +4/+4, but that's an aura. I'm just looking for the equipment. Magitech armor, no. Okay, so here's what I think we'll do. Here's what I think we can do. If we needed to make these things into a category of light, medium, and heavy, for right now, I think we could make it very simple that it would be 1 through 3, well actually 0 through 3 would be light armor, 4, 5 would be medium armor, and 6+ would be heavy armor. Super simple. And we can use that, coming back here to the armor and shields and how long it takes to put it on, to use this. Light, medium, and heavy. If that's the case, then if you can summon a light armor, you know, something that just gives you a +3 armor class, it would take a minute to put it on properly. If the spell works for, you know, 5 minutes, that still leaves you 4 minutes to go ahead and be all rough and tumble with it. It wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, but it also wouldn't be the best. It would be one of those spells that you could use, but it probably would not be recommended. At least that's my perspective of it. Alright, so summon the appropriate equipment. It deals damage equal to the mana cost, D power, and gives a toughness and deflection bonus to AC. And the wielder benefits from any keywords or any keyword abilities. So, I mean, if we put that in there, then that means that just whatever happens to be on the card, you will gain the benefit from. If it's a sword that does infection and you're able to stab people with it, then you can infect them. I think that's the most fair way to do it, and it also means that I didn't waste the entire 2 hours today working on equipment. And I'll take the not wasted time, please. Thank you. Okay, though. Yeah, I think that's gonna work. I think it's gonna work for pretty much everything. So if you slap on the leather armor, if you put this on, this being, since it's only a +1 light armor, it takes 1 minute to put it on. It gives you +1. And the nice thing about that is if we check this against up here, leather armor, leather armor, leather armor, leather armor gives a +2 armor bonus. So check that out. Is it as good as actual leather armor? No, but it's half as good. And it doesn't come with things like the arcane spell failure chance and things like that, because it's just an echo. All it is protecting you. So that is going to be suitable. And again, like I said, some of this is going to have to be open to interpretation. Cranial plating here, it's a helmet. However, the attached creature gets +1/+0 for each artifact that you control. Again, that's going to be a little bit hard to keep track of, because that means that the more of these you summon, the better it's going to get, and you could summon a whole bunch of them. But if you also have access to 2 black mana, which you probably do, you could just attach it directly to your own creatures, or slap it on your own head. Since it's just a helmet, I imagine we could treat it the same way as a shield, and you could strap it on as a move action. Why not? Dare I say, why not? I think this is going to work for our equipment problems. Okay then, well, I am almost out of time for today anyway, so this is probably going to be a good place to stop. Go ahead and drop that for a moment. In terms of equipment, I think we're good. I think we're in a good place. It's going to be very subjective. It's one of those things where on level up, I would have to sit down with the player, go over what they were doing, how it's going to work, and it's going to be a lot open to interpretation. This is not going to be a module that's just going to run on its own. It is going to require a lot of input and cooperation. There's just no other way around it. It is too big of a gap to divide, or rather to cross, to just leave it running on its own. So next time we come back here, we'll work on some of the other ones. Fortifications. There's only like one, but at the same time, I need to be able to do it. Incubator, I don't know what we're going to do with, and vehicles are probably going to require their own their own stream just dedicated to that. So yeah, next time, fortifications and incubators. After that, vehicles. After that, I don't know, I have to figure something out. So, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get out of here, and I'll let you get back to your day. Thank you, everybody, for coming out. If you liked what we did today, and you thought it was worth your time, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon. That way you get notified every time these videos come out. If you know somebody else who's also into either Magic the Gathering or Pathfinder, then share this video with them. If you like what I'm doing, go ahead and leave a like on the video. Likes are good. If you want to leave a comment, you can do that too. But if you are going to go ahead and leave a comment, might I suggest, go ahead and join the Discord. We have one. There's people there. Lots of people there, actually. Join the Discord. And if you want to play with us, come to the Behind the Screen channel. Let me know what game you want to play and what your availability is. And as soon as I've got enough people for a game, we'll get started. So, I hope I see you there. I hope I see you back here next week for more Magic the Gathering. And until then, take care.